How are you, my friend? How are you, my friend?
We finally got it. I'm good. How are you?
This is very important that you and I got a chance to talk. You know, obviously there's some forces that didn't really want us to talk. It just kept happening. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Did you notice that?
I did. Yeah.
But how have you been?
Really good. Busy like you, but really good. Yeah.
God is great.
We're busy fighting a war, Prime.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And so we're at a critical time. It's October. We're at October. And, you know, shit's hitting the fan. You know, we're kind of stepping into the light, I guess you can say. We're stepping into the light where there's exposure, happening and things like that. And this is what we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
You know, so how are you feeling about these moments?
I'm feeling like kind of what you were describing there. It's what we've been waiting for. And I'm almost nervous, but so excited. And every day it's hard to sleep. There's so much going on, trying to keep on top of all the news and what's really coming out. It's nuts.
Yeah. So much to talk. So where do we want to start? I mean, I figured I'd give you an opportunity to share a little bit of your story, maybe your testimony, how you kind of came into this world. You know, I think you and I probably was in the center of a lot of controversy for a couple of weeks, maybe. You know?
Oh yeah. And for a while, I didn't even know about it. Some people kept sending me these interesting emails and I didn't even know. And then finally, I watched that episode you and Jerry had together, that very first one, where you actually left the episode because it just thought you were up against a brick wall.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was on the right track there. My sister Janine there, I thought I was doing the right thing, keeping the unity in the Patriot movement, not judging. You know, I guess we judge on a certain level. I mean, I didn't think you were doing anything wrong. I thought you were doing God's work. I thought you were doing your patriotic duties, and I didn't see anything wrong with that. Particularly because we're on the same side, and we're fighting the same enemy, and we're fighting for the same cause. And I've been around you. I've sensed nothing but good, you know. And it's just so many great testimony. People love you too, by the way. I just want you to know that. People love you dearly. And I think so much truth has come out about this particular time. And one of the things that I wanted to say is that it's one of the things that I'm realizing, I think a lot of people are having a hard time accepting, is this whole idea of Christ and God. And they've limited Christ to a book and not to the consciousness, to the light. And so it's become a cause of division, which is not actually godly. But one of the things that God was showing me was that in these end times, is that all these various different belief systems, these various different paths that we all find are seeming to kind of converge and kind of culminate into this moment. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, I've thought that for years and years, that you can be connected to Jesus. Like one of my favorite sayings was, whenever I read about or feel what Jesus would be all about, I could feel what an intense, wonderful healer and even teacher, prophet that he was. But it disconnects when it gets all into religion. Because all of a sudden religion puts all of these structure and rules and repression. And Jesus didn't feel like that to me energetically. Growing up, I was brought up really strict Catholic, and I didn't feel like it was representing who Jesus was properly. When you'd read about the stories about him, he didn't seem like a judgmental guy to me.
No. He actually wasn't. Remember, they were stoning the woman. They were stoning the woman according to the law. Some people say he was stoning them according to the Bible. It's the same thing. They were stoning them according to the written law, that what they would try to interpret. And then Jesus steps in and says, hey, he who has not sinned cast the first stone. So don't judge this woman. And but I'm definitely starting to realize, because I remember maybe 10 years ago, you know, it was like the Jew was over there, the Muslim was over there, the Christian was way over there, the spiritual people were way back there. I mean, everybody was seeming to be kind of like in their own little world, and everybody was probably as contentious as it could possibly be. And then all of a sudden, as this great awakening started to unfold, it started to seem like there was a converging of these timelines, as if it was almost like the walls of division was like coming down, and we became one almost. And I started to see like the Christ coming through various different platforms. I saw the Christ coming through maybe some in the Christian world. I saw the Christ coming through Muslims, through the Jew, through the tarot. And he told me to tell you this, and then somebody shared with me, you know, Janine had a powerful testimony of visitation or some type of vision of Jesus. And it's funny, but before they told me that, I wanted to see you, because he told me that Christ was coming through those cards. And that's the reason why we're all having such agreement with you, even in the Patriot movement. And I think people are afraid to accept these things because of the MK Ultra mind control fucking that's been going on majorly.
Yep.
And they feel like, and I do understand people, because sometimes the monster is imaginary, but the emotion is real. You know, so the boogeyman is make believe, but the emotion is real. Just like when the deep state uses the racial thing to get it going, you know, it's false. Yeah. A lot of times it's not really a racial thing going on, but the emotions that people feel are real. So when it comes to things like this, you know, it's like, oh my God, this is the code, it's the devil. And it's really not the devil. So in their mind, it's real. And so I just felt like, you know, it's time for us to start speaking out about it, because I think there's nowhere to run, because the Great Awakening is going to reveal all of these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the real way to see sort of connection to spirit world or Jesus or whatever you want to call it, that kind of, it shows through people's hearts and words. It shows through their actions towards others, their hearts and words. It's really interesting, because I gotta be honest, I was very young. I've always been known to kind of talk a little down on really, really structured religion.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I get in this truther movement somehow. You know the story of how I ended up over here. My cards channeled that Trump was a good guy. And I was brainwashed by CNN, and I had to get unbrainwashed. And guess what helped me do that was reading my cards and being really honest about what I was getting. Anyway, so that lots of people
that's such a major point, because that's one of the things when I was defending you, and I said, well, let me just say, if she's working for the devil, then that would mean that the devil is basically asking her to support Donald Trump and to expose the deep state. So that doesn't make any sense, because Satan is not divided against Satan. That wouldn't make any sense. Why would Satan want you to support Donald Trump and to expose the deep state?
Yeah. But it's taught me, being in this movement, that there's really, really good, very strong Christians.
Yeah.
And there's really, really good people that call themselves atheists. And there's really, really good spiritualists, and then there's bad, all of those. There's
pretty much.
Yeah, there's people that just bring truth their own way. And you've said that, I've heard you say that, and I really appreciate it. I was touched, actually, that you were defending my honor.
But you know what it is, because you know what, I spend the time, and that's not just with you, but it's with anybody that I meet. Yeah. My spirit meter goes on. It just goes on right away, automatic. Yeah. You know, it's called test the spirit. You test the spirit to see if it's of God. Mm-hmm. So you meet somebody and you talk to them, hey, how you doing? And the whole time you're kind of like reading their presence, you're reading their vibe. And if you feel a demonic, I'm very familiar with the demonic frequency. I could pick up on demonic frequency fast, and I want nothing to do with it. I'm going to be honest with you. I want nothing to do with demonic frequency. And every time I watched your stuff, I remember when I first started watching your stuff, and I was like, man, I like her. You know, I had no red flags. I never had nothing that made me feel weird. I was like, oh, okay. So when I got a chance to meet you, and do the show with you and talk with you. I was really interested to see how God was using you, because I felt like God was using you. And so I understand that a person can, maybe if they're doing the cards, if they in themselves within their heart have made some type of contract with the devil, then of course, then what they would be doing would be of a demonic frequency. But I didn't get that vibe from you. Yeah. And I didn't get that vibe from you. So I left it at that. I don't go beyond that. That was it for me. We was brother and sister. We back to back fighting in this war. And then I saw you with -48. And he said the same exact thing. So it was another double confirmation. And but I think the dogmatic and I think the religious world are probably not ready for the revelations that's going to come about the truth about God and the spirit world and so on and so forth. And I tell people like this, and -48 mentioned this, and it opened up my mind. He said there's two forms of energy. You got positive energy, you have negative energy, and so there's one sun, and that is one sun. There's one source of light in the whole world. In the whole world, there's only one source of light. You know that. There's only one. It's the sun. The sun is our source of light, and the sun shines into my house, and I don't know, wherever you are in the world, the same sun is shining into your house. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Think about it. It's one sun in our whole world. That same light shines in my house, the same light that shines in your house. Is that not true?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Sweet. And so anyway, so we got Red October. How are you feeling, and what are you seeing, and what are you thinking is coming through?
I'm thinking it's roundup time. Whenever I'm looking at the cards, it looks like it's all about getting the government, especially the government heads, rounded up. So we're seeing, even in Australia, 2 already have had to step away. It's interesting because they get accused of things that have nothing to do with really probably why they're stepping away. And my feeling was what's really going on is they've been puppeted all this time by the good guys, the white hats, and they've been made to expose the demonic plan and even push it really fast. So if you think about it, what they're doing in Australia seems ludicrous. And of course, it seems like it's on the way everywhere, where they're pushing things that they would normally, I don't even think the dark cult would ever do it as fast as what it appears they're doing, right? They're trying to bring literally martial law everywhere and lock everybody down and force people. Like, it seems like too big of a step, even for those bad guys. They would take 10 years to get really quietly sneak that up on everybody, but they're doing it all overnight kind of thing. And that's what tells me that's the white hats. Okay, I believe the shadow government are puppeting these people to show their hand and wake as many people up as they can, even though it's painful. And now it's time, because it's Red October. By the end of October, they're going to have taken these government heads out, because they've already made a deal, and they're going to the spa.
They're going to the spa. Nice. Yeah, I feel the same way. They say tomorrow is supposed to be the big day. Ooh. A big day. The big day is a couple of big days. November 2nd is going to be a big day in Dallas. And but tomorrow's supposed to be a big day. And John Durham has been kind of tipping us off a little bit that to get ourselves ready. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've been getting those countdowns on everybody's telegrams. I mean, it's all like, it feels really ominous to me.
I would love you come visit the Telegram chat with me one time. Come and stop by. And I think people love to hear from you. We've had this conversation over and over. I love Janine. And I said, yeah, she's great. It's time for the walls of division to come down. Yeah. And I think in the presence of God, none of these these divisions really don't exist. They're artificial. And I think the various different, whatever belief system we have, it's benign in a certain way, because it's all about intention. Yeah, and so, so it's I just pray we get there. I know we're going to get there, and I know in the Great Awakening,
who created those divisions was the dark cult. So they made tarot card readers and people that read the future to look like the demons and or the witches. That was the witch hunt, was created by the dark cult, because they wanted to take away all of those people that were helping others to see and go directly to source, because a good reader gets you in touch directly to channel your higher self. So then they demonized the readers and turned them into the bad guys. And that still exists today. And that's literally why it's so hard to listen to people saying that, because it's like, that's their programming that they're speaking. Okay. They took all that was good and flipped it and turned it into bad, because it was dangerous, because we'd tell people what was really going on, you see.
Yeah.
So we were dangerous. So they've demonized us for all those years, and people are still buying into it. So the doctrine is what they got to examine, right? Where did that come from? Because most of history is a lie. We know that now.
Yo, so much of it, man. I'm listening to this amazing Sabrina Gal and Negative 48, John F. Kennedy Jr. And it's John F. Kennedy Jr. You know that, right?
Yeah. I'm thinking, you know what I'm thinking? Like, so 107 and Negative 48 might even be the same energy.
Well, I think Juan is
something weird going on there.
Okay, so Juan, who is an incredible guy, okay, and I salute him because he's a hell of a guy. He's very Christ-like. He's a very good man.
Yep.
He's a very powerful man, and he's a patriot to the motherfucking core. Pardon my French. And so he's a good man. But I think Mr. Kennedy has played 107 once or twice. And I think he's played a lot of people. He's a master of disguises. So
that makes sense.
He's played a lot of different people. So I think that's what's going on with that. But negative, this whole revealing of John F. Kennedy is the cornerstone of this movement in a certain kind of way. Who do men say that I am? This was Jesus, and who is John F. Kennedy Jr., and so it's somewhat of a cornerstone to this whole great awakening, is who is John F. Kennedy Jr. And so him coming into the public first in disguise, Vincent Fusca, then through the social media, HS Retouch, and the various different platforms, and now as Negative 48 with only the voice, and then of course the mask. But he's told us about his father. He's told us about his mother. I mean, we've heard him weep and shed tears. It's pretty intense. It's pretty intense. I'm gonna be honest with you, but it's totally him. I mean, I'll take that to the bank. I'll take it right to the bank. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what I mean? When you talk to somebody day after day after day after day, I mean, it's just.
It was really interesting when they were both, him and 107 were both on a show, and they showed the hotel rooms, and it looked like it was the opposite side of the same room. What did you make of that? That was weird, right? What were they signaling something?
Oh, are you talking about when I didn't see that one?
Yeah, they literally had these, both 107 and Negative 48 on. This was quite a while ago. And they literally were sitting in the same hotel room. So they didn't just black out, how Negative 48 just usually has the word, minus 48.
Right.
But they didn't have that. They actually showed kind of what the hotel room looked like. And then in the other frame, it was 107's hotel room. He always shows, and his feet, right? They were literally in the same hotel room or on opposite sides of the room. It was the weirdest thing. I didn't know what they were getting at there.
Well, they're both on the same side, and they're both on the same side. So, and they're both at the time.
They're very close somehow. They're very close somehow.
They both ain't no joke. I'm gonna just tell you that, and so, but watching the way it's playing out, being involved obviously is a great honor, to serve our country and to fight for freedom and justice, and just to be a part that helps share the truth. And I've always felt very much called to unify. Another thing that's very interesting, because as we talk about religion and the Bible and spirituality and God, so much of the MKUltra programming is we've been indoctrinated in a lot of ways. And here's one that I find to be very interesting, right? Because Mr. Kennedy always tells us to think mirror. Anytime you learn something that comes from the MKUltra programming, think mirror, right? Think the opposite, right? And so they tell us, no man knows the day nor the hour, right? He says, "Oh, you're gonna know the day and the hour. It's November 2nd, 12 o'clock, 12:09 or something like that." And then he said, well, now I'm thinking, okay, well, I remember there would be a teaching that when all the world religions come together, oh, it's going to bring the Antichrist, it's going to bring the devil, and da, 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 da. And we've always had a fear and a phobia of unifying people around the world because it's going to bring the devil. And I said, no, it's not going to bring the devil, because I saw President Trump be the keynote speaker at the Unified Church Movement. President Trump was the keynote speaker at the Unified Church Movement.
Wow.
Right? With Dr. Moon. Dr. Moon, who's a powerful evangelistic preacher who brought all the various Christian denominations together and opened it up for people who were non-Christian to join them in prayer for peace. Okay? She was persecuted by, guess who? The church.
Oh,
the church was mad at her because she's unifying all these denominations, and then she opened it up to all the other religions. No, they got mad at her for that. But President Trump was the keynote speaker at the Unified Church Movement. And I realized something when I saw that, because I know one of the guys. He's part of my Patreon group. He's one of the guys who helped organize that. And what he told me, what it showed me was, when all of the religions of the world come together, ultimately the various different belief systems offset. And we stand before God without no outer garment, naked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make any sense to you, or am I just kind of?
No, that totally makes sense. And I can see that that's a big part of your mission. I mean, I'm sure you know that already, but like every time I hear you speak, it's like you really bring light to, because you're coming from a very, in a way, likely brought up Christian, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Right. And so you have a lot of understanding about where they're coming from, which is really powerful. Right. Yep. But you're bringing all of this other insight from all of these others. It's almost like you're introducing everybody and helping everybody understand each other. And somebody's got to do that, because we're going to be like, we're going forward into 5D together. Who's going? And it's not going to be divided into religious groups. I just don't see it, because religion was created by the demonics to keep everybody separate.
That's right. And I'm starting to see, and you know what else? On Telegram, and this is the official John F. Kennedy Jr. Telegram account. And he posted this a couple months back, and he said, the Christian, the Muslim, and the Jew all have the same God. This was before this whole incident. Now, about 10 years ago, that would have been considered straight blasphemy. You know that?
Yeah.
Right. So I think we would just kind of introduce this whole conflict, and I got love for everybody. I still identify with the Christian church, but I identify with the heart-to-heart relationship with God, and I feel like I'm ready to cast off all outer garments, whatever that is, whatever tag that is. I don't need it. Yeah. It doesn't do me anything.
Yeah. Too much of it's been twisted, like you said, in the past. And we have to be careful going forward that we look at it with new eyes, and don't bring that programming into this new, world we're creating. Yeah. Because that was given to us, that was pressed into us. And we got to be so careful we don't carry that with us.
Well, I was asking God, and I know God uses you through the cards, but God speaks to me through the drip. And so I was asking God, I said, why is it that I kept saying, why is it that we're always on the same page, me and you, all the time?
Yeah.
Every time I've ever checked up on you to see what you was doing or what you were talking about from time to time, it was always the same thing all the time, And so I asked God, why is that? Why is that? We're so different. I'm a man, she's a woman. I'm black, she's white. I'm from this country, she's from that country. I'm a Christian, she's a that. Why? He said, well, I'm going to pour my spirit out on all flesh.
Yep.
On all flesh. Yep. And Christ is coming through the cards. Mm-hmm. I said, wow, that's so interesting.
even as a reader, so a lot of tarot card readers, and this is where some people might take issue in the past with some readers, okay? And there are some that are like charlatans, but there's charlatans everywhere.
Right.
in everything, right? So there's bad people and good people using things. They're just tools, right? They're tools. But from the beginning, when I started reading, a lot of readers will have certain channels that come through. Like, so they call them their guides, or the person who comes in for the reading might have a guide come through. I never saw it as a guide. I always saw it as, I'm getting it directly from the spirit world. So basically the person's soul, so their higher self. So you could say God. Right. I was getting my information from source, and it always felt like that. It was directly.
Yeah, and it's definitely of the light. But give me 2 seconds, because somebody's ringing the doorbell, but I don't know why. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah. Yeah, so much fun to be on here with Prime. We missed two different sessions we were supposed to do. It was almost like the universe was, somehow we weren't ready to get on together. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
I'm staying in the Airbnb. I had to hit the button because as YouTubers, we don't wear pants. Janine, we don't wear pants, okay?
I got my pajama pants on. I'll have you know.
This is a waist up job here. It's a waist up.
That's funny. Yeah.
All right, so we'll pick it up from here. Cut. So yeah, I might as well just leave it. Maybe people find that funny. I'll leave that in there. Who cares?
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, but I think salute to both of us. I think we took a risk, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So where do you and Jerry sit? Are you guys on speaking terms, or what's going on?
Well, I mean, my thing is this. I have to stand for the truth. The ironic thing, and here's the irony of it all. Nobody knew this guy. You know what I mean? I recruited him myself. We became whatever. We got to know each other. But in my heart, I was very much concerned about the Christian community, because I felt that the Great Awakening was going to bring about certain disclosures, UFOs, otherworldly things that was going to happen that's so out of the purview of the Christian church right now. Yeah. That I just didn't feel that the Christian church was prepared for the Great Awakening. So I wanted somebody who they can identify with. So I reached out to him to kind of help them, And but the whole time I was building that platform, because I built that platform, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. His whole YouTube channel, I built that. Yeah. And but the whole time I was doing it, I was consciously knowing that there was a number of people in the audience who had various different belief systems. I knew that. And I purposely focused on patriotism and not religion per se, even though we pray and we did this. I said, I'm not going to get into no dogmatic debates and anything that's going to divide the people, because in a hot minute, we're going to find things that's going to rock our world about the Bible, about God, about whatever. So right now is not the time to get caught up in a debate about this. Man, it just doesn't make any sense at this point in time. It just doesn't make any sense. So I'm not going to go to war in the name of Jesus Christ with somebody else in the name of Jesus Christ. I'm just not going to do it. So that whole thing, I think it's a shame. I mean, I think it drove a wedge right through the movement. I'm going to be honest with you. It drove a horrible wedge, but many people have come from that group to join me on my Telegram and, so I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I really don't. I don't understand. You know what I mean? It's quite disturbing. I'm concerned about how they're going to handle some of the truths that we're finding out. In terms of the truth about the Bible, the truth about Jesus Christ, the truth about everything that's a lie. So many lies.
Yeah. hires up in the organization that they're calling themselves a part of, like some of those evangelist preachers, well, a whole lot of them are really bad news, right? They were planted there, I'm pretty sure.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But you know, a friendship broke, a fracture. You know, a group of people went that way because they in fear that they're violating the Bible, which there's no fear, there's no condemnation in Christ. So there's no fear. Fear of what? Yeah, exactly. What are you doing? If you're true to your heart, you have nothing to fear. Mm-hmm. You know, you judge a tree by the fruit that it produces. Mm-hmm. And when I look at you, I see the good work that you're doing. So does Mr. Kennedy. That's exactly what I said. Everything he said is exactly what I said. So I couldn't understand where this was coming from. And when I truly look at it, I think there was another motive. I think there was another agenda. Mm. And when I go back, and I have some people who've come to me and said, Prime, I mean, let's just be real. This is what's going on. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, because it didn't make any sense. Because, you know, if God can use a person who was an alcoholic or a junkie or a prostitute or a criminal, why he can't use a tarot card? I mean, what's the difference? He can use anybody. Mm-hmm. Anything he decides to touch, he can use. I don't understand. Yeah. I mean, do you agree with that or no? I mean,
I agree. I totally agree. I even think there's some really dark energies in what they call the New Age world that are just planted dark hats. Okay, but they've been known to channel amazing things. Deepak Chopra. We did a deep dive on him, Ashley and I. The guy's like connected all the way up. I mean, he's really good friends with Oprah, and that tells you everything, you know what I'm saying? And some other people, you know, that are pretty obvious, signaling that he's on the dark side. But the guy channeled some of the most amazing words, because the universe or God, whatever you want to call it, goddess, channels through people that are good antennas. Right. Use energy. It's like, okay, that's a good antenna. I'm going to get my word through here.
Right.
That's what they're doing. And that's awesome. And in my case, I was in a way on the wrong path, because I was literally smack talking Trump. I was literally talking bad about him. And I was reiterating things that I was told, okay, but then my cards weren't agreeing with me. So the cards, and I always defer to the cards, and I was getting really confused, even on camera. You could see it in my early videos. We left them all up because, you know, I'm just a person, right? I don't care. Like, I'm honest, and I already told everybody. I was sorry about that. So then I had to take some time off and really read on my own, not being on camera. And the cards told me who the guy was, what he was up to. And that's when I started watching other truthers and went, okay, I know what my work is then. I'm going to use my cards to tell the truth and out the mainstream media that I had been programmed by, just like everybody else was.
Yeah, Christ is coming through the card. And see, Christ is the consciousness that's in us all. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm finding out, that the Christ is not exclusive to Baptists or Pentecostal or anything. As much as people want to truly believe that, it's not the truth, my sister. You know this already. I mean, I ain't got to tell you, you already know this, but the people need to know that it's not the truth.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
The spirit of the Christ, even in the Bible, he says, I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. What does that tell you? All flesh. Yeah. All flesh. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And then when you look at the EBS, for example, and we have all these mediums, we have the phone, we have the computer, we got the tablet, we got all these different, and different networks. You got the CNN, you got this one, this channel, and that channel. But when that EBS go, it comes through every single channel. Same message comes through every channel. Yeah. And that's the Christ. And that's what he's doing right now. Yeah. He's coming through every channel, the same message. Yeah. That's what I believe. That's truly what I believe. And I believe it's a foreshadow of the things to come. I believe it's a foreshadow of a time that's coming. But with that said, what do you have for us, Mrs.? What's the message for us for the month?
Can I do some cards?
Yeah.
Let's see what the cards want to tell us. And again, I believe they're just a channeling tool. So we're not giving extra powers to a deck of cards is made out of paper, right? They're a channeling tool. I'm the antenna, and the universe provides. And I just happen to be good at picking it up because I'm a receptor, and I've been like that my whole life, just like you have, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Right. So everybody has different tools they use.
Yeah, very true.
Right? You used music and probably still do. That's a real channeling.
It's true.
Music is a frequency, and it can heal people. It's totally channeled music.
Loud and clear.
If it's done properly, that.
And the right person with the right heart and everything else.
Yep. Oh boy. So the first two cards, this is us. So we're waiting. We've been waiting for a really long time for things to happen, like the truther in community. And we're almost like we're on pins and needles. It feels like we've been waiting and we don't really see everything that's going on though. With this card here, see how they're blindfolded and they're sitting there with their arms crossed. So swords are information. So some people have their wires crossed with those two swords crossed, and some, because we have noticed that a lot of people have kind of fallen by the wayside in disinformation, and maybe not even purposely, maybe they're just being used or they're fearful themselves. Everybody's fear is really showing right now because we're all like literally backed into a corner. It feels like with all of these things looming, we're going to lose our jobs supposedly and all these scary things. Something has to happen. Something has to give. And that's where we're sitting right now. So we're just waiting. It's almost like tense, right? But this card, beautiful. This is what's actually in the atmosphere. So there's all this incredible things going on we didn't see. So there's these powerful moves that have been made. We're actually in a power position we don't even know we are. Okay, well, some of us do. Some of us feel it. I feel it. Yeah. I feel comfortable. Like I know it looks bad out there, but I feel like this is all had to happen. And it's hard to tell your audience that day after day when you're like, oh, it looks like a white hat op again. You know what I mean? And it looks horrifying, but they're doing it to wake people up. And that's what it looks like. This was in the past. So we're safer than we think, even though we feel like we're in this really bad position, we're actually really safe. Okay, and we've been helped out. And I'm not saying they're saving us and we should just sit there like sitting ducks. I never say that. I just believe we do need to understand there is a white hat op, and they are working in the background on the behalf of humanity, for their own families, for their own sake as well, not just for us. And we do have a job to do in the movement. So I'm not saying just sit there and let everybody save you. No, I'm not saying that. Here's the next thing that happens. Really, this is exciting because this is somebody's being called to justice, and really surprising maybe how many or how it happens. Called to justice. That could be something to do with Durham and what he comes out with next. Okay, so this is a big call to justice, and this card was upside down. So it's going to be very disappointing. It must be somebody they call to justice or a group of people that'll really disappoint sort of sleeping people. In other words, it's going to be somebody that everybody thought was a good person. It's going to be known to be a bad person all of a sudden because they're going to get called to justice out of the blue. Who are you thinking that might be? Any ideas?
Well, I think obviously Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a very wicked man.
Yeah.
He's done some treacherous things. I mean, to sit in the highest office in the land and in the world, and to be a murderer. He's a murderer. He's a murderer, and he's a big time human trafficker. He's an evil man. Yeah. And so
and
I think
out the whole country.
He sold out the whole damn
everything.
Yeah. So I think that's going to have a lot to do with it. I think Fauci. I think a lot of these people that they trusted with the COVID-19 information as it relates to the jab, and they sat there and they listened to these doctors, and they,
Yeah, it's gonna become known to the normies this month, and it's gotta happen. They gotta know, because it's just gotten, the crescendo of stupid out there is just.
It's crazy.
Mhm. Like, okay, you guys, seriously, it's like, what more do we need to show you? Like,
I know. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't wreck myself anymore, man. I'm gonna be honest with
yeah,
you. I don't wreck myself. It's not no more intel. What more intel do you need? I mean, come on. You know,
yeah,
I'm not breaking my back anymore. I mean,
yeah.
and you know,
Mhm.
I mean, we've been blessed, and you know, some of the most powerful people in the world have come to us and talked to us. You know.
Yeah.
And assured us that everything's going to be all right and everything is going according to plan. And so it's not going to be but days now. But I'm ready for this whole thing to be over with. I'm ready to enter into the light of the new day. You know what I mean? I'm ready, sister. I'm trying to tell you, this ain't fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gotten like to be really, really hard work.
It is.
Just keep holding the line is hard every day.
And see, when I watch, because you're like on one side of the plan, I'm over here, and I said she's doing the same thing I'm doing. I mean, what? I don't understand. I'm not gonna, this is a fellow patriot, and but you do great work, and I would encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. Great work, peace and protection around you. I pray that in the future, as minds are opened up, perhaps you can be one of the great teachers to help people see the manifold wisdom that God has, how he can just have so much expression and so much diversity. And I believe that's going to be the environment of the Great Awakening, the spiritual environment. That's what I truly believe. I don't believe there's no place for religion in the Great Awakening. I just really don't see it. I don't see religion playing. I believe religion will be a collective of human beings crying out to God, heart to heart, without any particular religious distinctions or anything. I really believe that.
Yeah. I've always thought that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. My whole life. I never got the whole division thing. I don't even get it. Like, I was so many things in past lives. By the way, I was a black bluesman from Chicago in one of my lifetimes.
Really? Now, how did you figure that out? Did you have a dream?
Okay, for years when I was young in my 20s, I worked in this bar that was a Chicago blues bar in Calgary. We love the blues here, okay? And there was a constant stream of Chicago bluesmen came through this bar, and I worked there. I could have worked anywhere. I was a really good waitress and a really good bartender. I was studying astrology and tarot at the time, but I worked in this place. It was pretty seedy. I got to tell you, it was called the 𝐭𝐤𝐿 Hotel. And it's no longer in its original form, but it was a blues bar. And I got to know all the blues guys that came. In fact, my place was really close. So I'd invite the whole gang and all the waitresses afterwards. I'd get in a lot of trouble from the landlord after work, and I'd cook food for them. And I'm not even kidding. So because I just felt a kindred. And when they played music, I felt like I knew, and I don't play any instruments this lifetime or sing or do any, but I felt like I knew exactly what they were doing. And I know that sounds corny, but I just love them.
Well, and see, this is another thing and how they divide us. But I'm going to tell you, even in the Bible, it talks about reincarnation. It talks about certain things that we've kind of demonized. And my mind, as my mind opens up and he touches my mind, he opens my mind like a flower. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I start to grasp the breadth of the scope of God's power, and his providence is just so vast. And I realized how small my thinking. I had to ask God. I said, God, am I small-minded? I know. And I said, God, am I closed-minded? Somebody said, Prime, open your mind. A friend of mine tried to tell me about the galactics, and there's civilizations, advanced beings from other planets. I said, listen, you sound crazy. I rebuke you, Satan. Get behind me. He says, Prime, no, listen. Prime, open your mind. I walked out the room. I said, am I closed-minded? I had to ask God all night. I asked God, am I closed-minded? Then he started giving me dreams of UFO ships and showing me different things and teaching to me about the galactics and the various different federations and the alliances that exist and is working with Q. Even got a confirmation. I even got a confirmation from Mr. Kennedy. I'm going to share it for this show. But I got a confirmation that the benevolent, good, light worker beings are working with Q to save the world.
Yeah, I've got that before too.
You know, and when I would talk about that, you know, I talked about it on my platforms all the time because I would go on my platform and talk about the Galactic Federation and working with Q, and every time I talk about it, I would lose 2,000-3,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Prime, you're falling for the alien deception. I said, no, I know the difference between Project Bluebeam, okay, and what I'm talking about, okay? Yeah. Now, Project Bluebeam being an intentional, false flag, alien invasion, I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
You know, and but it was confirmed. And then he did a show with Charlie Free, and he talked about there was a mothership that came down with all of the med beds on it. And the kids that was rescued from the tunnel are being served and treated inside of these med beds. Yeah. And I thought about all of the Christians who left my platform because I was talking about the very same thing.
Yeah.
So I am concerned about that community because I do it in love. I don't do it as an attack. It's not an attack. I do it out of love. I do it because I want them to know the truth. I do it because I want them to be prepared.
Yeah.
You know, but they see the truth as an attack, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Wow.
It's tough. You know, so here we are.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been a heck of a ride, man. I said I didn't sign up for all of this, but I'm all for it. I'll do what I got to do. But you know,
is this your full-time work now, Prime? Because you're working really hard. Like, do you have any other?
I mean, well, I wouldn't say work because I don't necessarily quite get paid for doing this. You know what I'm saying? But sort of. You know, I mean, this is how I survive. I guess you could say, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't leave. You know, I tried to stop because I wasn't earning any income doing this.
Yeah.
And I was doing it for about 2 years and really all my life, to be honest with you. I mean, all my life I've been talking about the New World Order and the deep state. But, you know, obviously I had a natural inclination for what was going on with Trump and taking out the deep state. I was already prepared for that and aware of that already. So God was able to use me in his particular realm. But, you know, I gave him my time. I made all these documentaries. I do all these videos. And I wasn't making a cent, you know what I'm saying? And I said, look, at some point in time, I said, like, after the election, because I thought that at the election, it was going to be over, November. You know what I'm saying? I said, after that, I'm going to go back to my life and say, I got to get me a job or open up a business or something. And, you know, God just kind of, he kept me in. He kept me in going. So I reached out to Charlie Ward and I said, Charlie, listen, man, I love you dearly. I appreciate everything. It's been a blessing. And I think this is what I'm going to have to sign out because I have to make some income. And, you know, he kind of gave me some advice and he said, well, you know, you can look at this, you look at that. And I was like, well, I don't know if that's for me. And so I respectfully declined because it was just like a business opportunity. It wasn't for me, you know what I mean? And I didn't feel like that was what I wanted to do, but I appreciated him trying to open the door for me.
Yeah.
But, and then the whole thing with the coffee, it all started from the coffee, you know? Yeah. And then I did well with that. Then I lost everything because I lost all my channels and I got demonetized.
Yeah.
And so it was a rough road. It's still a rough road, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And
but God provides for me week to week. I survive week to week. If you really want to know the truth, it's rough. Yeah. But you know, I know good times are ahead. So as long as I'm surviving, you know, I'm fine. You know.
Can I look at it?
Go for it.
Let me give you a reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's obviously something going on coming for you, is what the feeling I was getting, but I want more information. And the reason you did good on the coffee and the drip was because you really love it. You have to absolutely, if you're going to do something like that, it's got to be coming from your heart, right? Because you're a Sagittarian. I know what you said.
How'd you know it? Yeah, I am a Sagittarian.
You said that a long time ago.
Yep.
And I never forget anybody's sign. If I like that person and they say what their sign is, it sticks in here like nothing. But no, you act like a Sag too. Sagittarians are always incredibly integral to their own belief system. They never buy into anybody's doctrine, and they're here to adhere only to they're the most individuals of all the zodiac.
Interesting.
Yeah, they never work together with, they never can be bossed around. They don't like authority. They don't buy it. They're the
I can't be sold that. There's no amount of money in the world that can ever, it just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Do you know how many businesses that they offered me to get involved in? I told them to jump off a cliff, like lots of them.
Yeah.
Because I had a very vibrant page before I got censored. I was doing well.
Yeah, I know. You have to absolutely love something to do it. That's what you're like. Okay, so right now you're living kind of day to day, and by the grace of God or the goddess. Okay. Oh, but this is interesting because this has been my off-worlder card. It's interesting. This is going to sound weird, but I feel like off-worlders got their eye on you in a good way. These are the good off-worlders. Okay. And in the next 2, that could be weeks or months, you're going to have 2 different opportunities or even 2 different meetings with literally people that would consider themselves, and you might have already had some meetings with people like this, but consider themselves white hats or connected to Trump. So you're going to have an option or an opportunity, and you'll have to decide what to do because it could mean giving up some other part of your life to do it.
I'm all in.
But it feels really like it just takes what you're doing up a notch in a way.
Yeah, I'm all in, baby.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It'll take about 5 months and you won't be able to talk about it. And then you can out with it and it'll be all known to, like, you'll be way more in the public eye. So you might have to go undercover with it at first, what you're doing.
You're a bad one. All right. Well, I'm going to tell you, man, I'm married to the movement, and I tell people all the time, I'm married to the movement, man. Yeah. I don't got no religion. My religion is a patriot. That's exactly what I am. God is all in that. Justice, freedom, and all that is all in the patriot.
Mm-hmm. I get you're going to be paid back tenfold for your hard work, and you deserve it, and that's okay. And accept it when it comes. That's what I get.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yay.
I appreciate you. Well, one day when I meet you, I'm gonna give you a big hug. I appreciate you. It's rough for a brother. You poured out all these emotions. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what made you ask me that, because normally we don't talk about stuff like that. But you must have known something's going on. It's rough, man. People don't know. People they have no clue. Yeah. I've done so much for so many people, even old Jerry.
Yeah. Do they have a way to? Do you have a tip jar? Do you have a way to donate to your channel?
I do. I put it on my website, for the donations and stuff. But I don't ask people for donations and stuff. But but I appreciate what people do. I earn off my coffee, and I have a team I have to take care of every week. So every week I got a burden, every single week, and it's not like I can just say, hey, I lost all my channels. I'm not earning right now, so tell your kids good luck. So their problems become my problems, and people don't understand that.
Yep.
They don't understand that when you have people who depend on you, you have to keep working. You can't just say I quit or I just give up. So
totally. Yeah.
But I'm looking for some good news. I'll be ready. Thank you for telling me that. I'll be ready. Yep. Well, until next time, I guess we'll catch up again. And I'm glad we finally, the devil didn't want this to happen. I'm telling you, the dark force did. I kept saying, man, why is I keep missing her? And I know we were supposed to meet that first time, and for some reason, it was like a glitch in my brain. I was so excited about meeting with you, it was like right after the whole incident, and then there was like a, I said I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna go and work out, and I went to the gym for a quick second, and I came back and I sat down and I thought I was on time, and it was like, you missed it. I'm like, I missed it. How did I miss it? I'm like some type of weird glitch happened in my brain. It was weird.
Yeah, and that happened to me the next time. So that was my glitch the next time. So it was like, it'll happen when it happens, and it's
I think this meeting was ordained for this time, and it had to be right now.
Yeah. Good.
So until next time, my sister, peace and protection all around you, and God's best. And see you in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Follow up.
Yay.
Okay.
And by then, things should be looking really interesting.
Very interesting, yeah. Mm-hmm. So we'll have a lot to talk about.
Yep, right on.
All right, guys. Talk to you.